सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Let us chant from 7 up to 19, 7 to 19. Together. मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव रसोऽहमप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि शशिसूर्ययोः प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्दखे पौरुषं नृषु पुण्यो गन्धः पृथिव्यां च तेजश्चास्मि विभावसो जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहं बलं बलवतां चाहं कामरागविवर्जितं धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ ये चैव सात्विका भावाः राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मये त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः येभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम् दैवी हेषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते न मां दुष्कृतिनो मूढाः माययापहृतज्ञानाः आसुरं भावमाश्रिताः चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनाः सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्तः एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रियः उदाराः सर्व एवैते ज्ञानी त्वात्मैव मे मतम् आस्थितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम् बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते सर्वमिति समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः. Yes. So after having explained the nature of God, what is the nature of God? Abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. Bhagavan is the material cause of this world and also the efficient cause. Also Bhagavan is the Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam. The whole world emerges from him, resides in him, merges back into him. Also Bhagavan is the Satya Vastu, Jagat is only Mithya. After having described all that, what is the next topic? The next topic is about the devotees. So what are the kind of people we have in this world? So the first one is non-believers. So what does Bhagavan say? Namam dushkritino moodhaha prapadyante naradhamaha. Moodhaha, people who are ignorant about this fact, that Lord alone is the material cause and the efficient cause. People who are not aware of it, moodaha, and therefore mayaya apahrita jnanaha, and therefore their knowledge, their understanding has been taken away by Maya. Meaning what? They don't know who they are. They don't know who God is, that's a different matter. But they don't know who they are. That is a problem. So all calamities start from here. When this person doesn't know who he is, he takes something else to be himself. So what is that something else? Nothing but the body. He doesn't know that he is infinite immortal consciousness. He doesn't know. Why he doesn't know? He doesn't know because he has no faith in God, he has no faith in the teacher, he has no faith in scriptures. Even when the knowledge is given to him, he has no faith. He either finds fault with the teaching, or fault with the guru, or fault with the scriptures, varieties of ways. They're all nothing but the indications of impurities of the mind. When a person's mind is not pure, the tendency is to find fault with all these. Find fault with the Shastras. They are all the expressions of impurities of the mind. No interest in the study of the scriptures. That is also due to the impurities of the mind. No interest in listening to satsang. It is because of the impurity of the mind. They are all the indications. A person whose mind is pure, he loves to listen about God. That desire automatically comes from him. He finds time for all these kinds of learning. They are all the signs of purity of mind. Now this person, moodhaha, he has no interest in all this. Therefore, naturally he remains ignorant in all these aspects. He doesn't know who he is. So naturally he takes himself to be the body, the mind, etc. Meaning he lives an egoistic life. What is ego? Ego is nothing but consciousness identified with the body-mind complex. That is called as ego. It's a technical definition. It's called as ahankaraha. Upadhishu aham karoti iti ahankaraha. What is ahankara? a sense of identification with the upadhi. Upadhi means the body, mind, etc. This is me. This body is me. He doesn't say this body is mine. What does he say? This body is me. Nothing wrong in saying this body is mine. This mind is mine. Nothing wrong. Because then there is a possessor-possessed relationship. And that is the right relationship. This body is mine, but this body is not me. Right? What is the proof that this body is mine and this body is not me? The proof is, you are the seer, body is the seen. There is a seer-seen relationship. There is a drashta-drik relationship. Observer-observed relationship. Anything that you observe is not you. Observed thing is always different from the observer. This is the fundamental principle of Vedanta. Now this person doesn't know it. He is totally identified with the body. So he thinks himself to be this egoistic personality, this body-mind complex. And therefore, what kind of behavior will he have? So Bhagavan says, Asuram bhavam ashritaha. Natural it is that a person who is identified with the body will have this kind of attitude. What attitude? Asuri attitude, demonic attitude, devilish nature. So yesterday we were saying, what is this asura? Asusu ramante iti asuraha. Those people who revel in the senses. Whatever senses show them, that alone is real to them. So anything beyond the senses, they don't believe. Number one. Number two, whatever pleasures are available to the senses, that alone for them is true happiness. So therefore, since sense objects are the source of happiness, their only goal in life is to hoard sense objects to the maximum. Their only joy is indulging in sense pleasures. So naturally, since sense objects hoarding is the goal of life, how to get sense objects? The source is wealth. So for them, in life, the highest priority is in earning wealth. Money alone becomes their God. Because through money, you get sense objects. And how to earn money, that is not a question. There is nothing called dharmic way of earning money. By hook or crook, earn wealth. Because wealth can give you sense objects. And these sense objects, when indulged, gives you pleasure. Asuram bhavam ashritaha. Now since they are aware of only ego, they are not happy with themselves. Left alone, they are not happy with themselves, because there is nothing to be happy about oneself, because everything is limited. Body, mind, intellect, everything is limited. Their capacities and talents are limited. Naturally, you will not be happy with a limited thing. So as a consequence, they are miserable with themselves. And how do they try to get rid of misery? If from within you don't get happiness, go out. So through power, through influence, and through all the other means, they try to become happy. We don't say sense objects don't have happiness, but they have only limited happiness, and even those pleasures are full of defects. That is the spiritual standpoint. But they are aware of only these pleasures. Now what is the greatest disadvantage of these pleasures? The greatest disadvantage is, even when you indulge in them, for some time you have some feeling of relief, but after that, these desires again come up with greater momentum. Kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena analena cha, Bhagavan says. When you indulge in these sense pleasures, for some time there is relief, some time there is peace of mind, but is it the end of it? No. Desires again come. Bhagavan says, dushpurena, it is insatiable. Analenacha, like fire. You keep on putting things into fire, will the fire say enough? In the same way, any amount of indulgence in these pleasures will not give you peace of mind or satisfaction. The mind again craves for more. Body may become old, but the mind, the cravings, the desires become younger and younger. This is what happens. So when this person craves for more and more sense objects, naturally he will have to use unrighteous means to get it. This is asuram bhavam asrita. He becomes an asura. He is competitive, quarrelsome. He doesn't, shy away from taking unrighteous means in order to fulfill his desires. Because according to him, happiness comes from the world. And thus, what kind of actions will emerge out of him? Dushkritinaha. All evil actions come out of him. And such people, Bhagavan calls them Naradhama, inferior ones among mankind. Adhama, inferior. Not Narottama. A person who gains this knowledge becomes Narottama, the best among men. Right. So this is the first category. People who totally disregard this knowledge. Now the second category. What is the second category? The devotee class. So this devotee class also Bhagavan divides them into 4 categories. What are they? Artha Bhakta, Artharthi Bhakta, Jitnyasu Bhakta and Jnani Bhakta. 4 types of devotees. Bhagavan calls them Sukritinah, doers of good. Now the first one is Artha Bhakta. Who is an Artha Bhakta? The one who is afflicted, the one who has lot of problems in life, and therefore he seeks God so that he will find solutions for his problems. Such people are called Artha Bhakta. Then the second one is called Artharthi Bhakta. He has no problems, but he has a lot of desires in life. He wants to fulfill all those desires. They are called as Artharthi. And the third one is called Jitnyasu Bhakta. He has seen enough of life. He has seen everything which world can offer. And he has, through his own personal experience, understood that there is no happiness in this world. There is only pain and suffering. Remember, this doesn't come in one birth. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Because it's a constant experiment that is going on in life. Each one of us, we are experimenting with life. And what is that we are seeking in life? We are seeking happiness. Every experiment, the purpose of every experiment is, may I be happy. So this trial and error method goes on and on and on for very many births together. We study for happiness. We want a job for happiness. We want to get married for happiness. We want children for happiness. We want grandchildren for happiness. We want house for happiness. We try out every possible method, but then something, in spite of getting everything, somewhere deep within we feel that there is something which is lacking. When a person comes to this stage, then the only thing which can satisfy him is not the pleasures of the world, but answers to his questions. Such a person who is not satisfied with life will have a lot of questions to ask. And these questions can be answered only through scriptures. These questions get answered only through satsang. Hence the importance of satsang. So this big person becomes a Jitnyasu Bhakta. Jitnyasu means he wants to know. Because he has tried very many ways and all the ways have failed. There is some kind of dissatisfaction in him, and this dissatisfaction takes him to these, knowledge regarding the scriptures. So naturally when he becomes a Jitnyasu Bhakta, Bhagavan himself, out of his grace and compassion, provides him with that knowledge. When true seeking comes from within, it is God's responsibility to see that his devotee is guided in the right path. So a guru comes to him. Such spiritual knowledge comes to him. Right? We cannot choose a guru, only Bhagavan can choose a guru for us. Because every person will have a different personality makeup. So every guru may not be suitable to us. According to our vasanas, inclinations, tendencies, certain guru appears to tune to us. So which guru deserves which disciple is decided by Bhagavan. This meeting is brought by Bhagavan himself. So such a jitnyasu gets the guru at the right time, gains the knowledge, and then he becomes a jnani. Can a person without the guidance of guru, can he become a jnani just by reading books? Impossible. It is simply impossible. It is possible that worldly knowledge you may gain by reading books. But when it comes to spirituality, this matter is very, very subtle. In fact, the subtlest. Here, a guidance of the teacher is absolutely essential. If you don't have the guidance of the teacher, your own mind will cheat you. Your own ego will mislead you. So there need to be someone who can annihilate your ego. You don't have to worry about all that. Once you are a true jitnyasu, Bhagavan provides the guru who will do the rest for you, who will guide you in the right path. And such a person, guided by the teacher, becomes a jnani. Now Bhagavan rates them, the four. Naturally the question comes, who is the best among these four? Artha, Artharthi, Jitnyasu and a jnani. Naturally the question comes, who is the best? So what does Bhagavan say? Tesham jnani nitya yuktaha eka bhaktir vishishyate. The best among them is a jnani bhakta. And Bhagavan says, for him I am very much dear, infinitely dear, and for me he is infinitely dear. We love each other infinitely. Our love towards each other is unconditional and unlimited. Bhagavan, why do you say that? I say that because jnani tu atma eva iti me matam. Because jnani is my own self. Jnani is my own self. He loves me as his own self. Therefore, love is infinite. Now, how does it answer this question? Now see, it is like this. In this world, whom do we love the most? In this world, each one of us, whom do we love the most? Without any second thought, the answer is only one. We love ourselves the most. We love ourselves the most. If at all we love someone, it is because that person gives me happiness, therefore I love him. So who is important? My happiness is important. If there is someone who is giving me pain, how much ever near he may be, close he may be, with respect to relationship, if he is giving me pain, I will not love him. Right? Whom do I love? I love the one who is giving me happiness. So who is important for me? For me, I alone am important. Everybody in this world is selfish. Keep this in mind. I love my husband because he gives me happiness. He gives me security. I love my wife because that wife gives me happiness. The one who gives me happiness, I love. Because for me, I am the most important. Right? Right? For me, I am the most important. Now, a jnani is loving God. Suppose God is someone other than you. You can never love him unconditionally, infinitely. It is not possible. As long as you consider God different from you, infinite love is impossible. Infinite love for God is possible only and only when you consider that God as your own self. Getting the point? Scriptures prove it. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati, Upanishad says. Everything is dear only because it gives happiness to me. Right? Now what is this jnani? Bhagavan says, this jnani considers me as his own self. Now what is the difference between a saint and a sinner? If everybody loves himself or herself the most, what is the difference between a saint and a sinner? For a sinner, his definition about himself is that he is the body. So naturally, as body, I am different from you. Correct? So there comes selfishness. But for a saint, what is his definition about himself or herself? I am consciousness. Now, with respect to consciousness, we are all one. So a saint becomes selfless. This understanding about oneself makes all the difference. The difference between a sinner and a saint. So Bhagavan says, his love for me is infinite because he considers me as his own self. And thus, both of us, we are one and the same. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. Therefore, mam anuttamam gatim, considering me as the supreme goal, the highest, the best. Asthitaha, he remains firmly established in me. Bhagavan says, such a jnani is sudurlabha, very, very rare to find in this world. Samahatma sudurlabha, Vasudeva sarvamiti, Samahatma sudurlabha. Such a Mahatma who sees Vasudeva alone everywhere, Bhagavan alone everywhere, because he is seeing the very self, the very consciousness. He doesn't find anyone different from him. Such a Mahatma is very, very rare. Now the next topic begins. What is the next topic? What about those people who worships many, many gods? So according to them, gods are multiple, many, many. His understanding about God is not clear. Can you call them atheists? No, because he has faith in God and he is worshipping God also. Can you call him Uttama Bhakta, Artha Arthati Jitnyasu Bhakta? You can't call that also because he doesn't have this single God concept. He has multiple God concept. Now about them, Bhagavan describes. Let us chant 20, 21, 22 and 23. Kamaistaistaihrutajnanaha prapadyante devataha tam tam niyamamasthaya prakrutya niyata svaya yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhayarchitumicchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham sataya shraddhaya yuktah tasyaradhanamihate labhate cha tatah kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavatyalpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्तः श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहं सतया श्रद्धया युक्तः तस्याराधनमीहते च ततः कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषाम् देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि. Yes. Now, let us have a brief introduction of these kinds of disciples or devotees. What is their understanding? They are called as Anya Devata Bhaktaha here in this context. Their understanding is there are so many gods and each god has got certain powers. And if you want to fulfill your desire, you will have to worship that particular god. Whether it is Rahu, Ketu, Shani, so many varieties of devatas are there. So each devata has a power. So if you want to fulfill a particular desire, for example, there is a devata who is in charge of wealth. So if you want wealth, what you have to do? Go to that particular devata, worship him, please him and get wealth. Right? So many devatas are there. Each one has got a particular department. So now, according to them, all these devatas are different. They are independent, having independent powers. If this is your understanding about gods, what will you do? So here the description is given. Taihi taihi kamaihi hritajnanaha. What does Bhagavan say? These devotees, hritajnanaha, their knowledge or understanding has been robbed. Discriminating power has been robbed by what? Taihi taihi kamaihi, by their own desires. So now they want to get their desires fulfilled by hook or crook, right? Somehow or the other, they want to fulfill their desires. They are ready to do anything. And now they come to know that by worshipping a particular devata, their desires can be fulfilled. They don't see the consequences. They just want to get their desires fulfilled. Therefore, Bhagavan calls them hritajnana. People who don't have intelligence, right understanding. And then, what kind of devatas do they choose? Swaya prakritiya niyataha. Niyataha, guided by, led by, prompted by. Swaya prakritiya, by their own nature. So a tamasic devotee will worship a tamasic god. A rajasic devotee will worship a rajasic god. What kind of Ishta Devata you choose depends on what kind of temperament you have, what kind of nature you have. Every god will not appease you, please you. What kind of god you will get attracted? It all depends on what kind of personality you have. A tamasic person will choose a tamasic Ishta Devata. So you will find these kinds of people, tamasic people, mainly their, Their goal is to harm others. They are called as tamasic people. So they worship something called bhutas, pishachas, etc. Evil spirits they worship, and such devatas are there. In Hinduism we have 33 crores. So therefore, in everything we have plenty. Right? Whether it is number of scriptures, it is not one or two. We have a library. Number of Ishtadevatas, again, crores. In Hinduism, everything is in plenty. How many types of foods are there? South Indian, North Indian, even in South Indian varieties are there. Tamilian, Andhra. So in Hinduism, we have everything in plenty. Anyway, coming back. So this tamasic worshipper, what kind of devata he will choose? He will have a tamasic devata. Right? Some kind of evil spirits. He gets attracted to it because his nature is that. So his goal is only one. Whoever is my enemy, somehow or the other, let me harm him. And such devatas are there who can do this. So then what he does? Swaya prakritya niyata. Now similarly Rajasic also. People who want lot of prosperity, wealth, etc. They have their own Ishta Devata. Now what is it said? Tam niyamam asthaya. Now in order to please a particular devata, there are certain what you call procedures. There are certain rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. If you want to please a particular deity, worship a particular deity, there is a particular mantra to be chanted. In such and such place it should be chanted. It should be chanted so many times. And the deity should be dressed like this. Such and such naivedyam should be offered. All these things are there. Place, time, what kind of offering you have to give. Tamasic, you might have seen all this, black magic and all. What do they offer? For that deity, offering is blood and meat and all that. And it has to be offered in skull, all those things. Right? This is tamasic worship. You might have seen in the serials, etc. All those. They do that. And the place is cremation ground. You have to do it. Sitting on a dead body you have to do. All those things are there. And then that evil spirit is pleased. And then they, okay, what is it that you want to do? Then you say, my neighbor, please break his leg. So you will go and do it. Right? So, tam niyamam asthaya, fulfilling that. It will be a very complicated ritual. You will have to spend a lot of money, but this person is ready. All those complicated rituals he is ready to do. And then, anya devataha prapadyante. He seeks refuge, worships that anya devata. Now remember, these are all little devatas with little powers. Right? And then what happens? Bhagavan says, yaha bhaktaha yam tanum shraddhaya architum ichchati. Whichever devotee worships whichever devata with faith, shraddha is there, with faith. Whichever devotee worships whichever kind of devata, rajasic, tamasic or sattvic, when he worships with faith, Bhagavan says, tasya shraddham aham tam eva achalam vidadhami. I make their faith strong in that devata. A particular devotee is worshipping a particular devata. Bhagavan say, I make it stronger. That faith, I make it strong. How does he make that faith strong? Bhagavan says, Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktaha, endowed with that faith, Tasya Aradhanam Ihate. He worships that deity, and then Tan Kaman Hi Labhate. And he gets whatever he wants. So when you get whatever you want, what happens to your faith? The faith becomes reinforced. The faith becomes strong. And because the faith has become strong, again he worships. Again he gets the result. And what does he think? He is getting the results from these devatas. So his faith in these devatas becomes strong. But Bhagavan says, actually the results are not given by these devatas. Maya eva vihitantan kaman labhate. Actually, I am the one who is giving the results. I am the one who has given power to these little devatas. This devotee thinks these little devatas are giving me the desired objects. Now here let us discuss a little. Let us discuss about faith first. Now, the rule of the game is about faith, I am saying. There's a very nice Subhashita which says, Mantre tirthe dvije deve daivatnye bheshaje gurau yadrashi bhavanayasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi. What kind of attitude you have to these, accordingly will be the result. What are they? Mantre. Right? Mantra, tirthe, in a, what you call? Tirtha kshetra, place of pilgrimage. Dvije, in a holy man. Deve, in a god. Daivatnye, in an astrologer. Bheshaje, in a doctor. Gurau, in guru. Whatever attitude you have, whatever shraddha you have, accordingly will be the result. So what determines the result? Your attitude towards them. Right? If you have faith, you will find that results are coming from it. I'll give a simple example. How many of you believe that when black cat crosses the road, it is inauspicious? Nobody will raise hand, I know it. It's a very, very strong, prevalent belief in our country that when you are going to do something, the moment a black cat crosses the road, what does it mean? Something bad is going to happen. Yes or no? You have heard of that? Yes. Now, a person who believes in it, that yes, something definitely bad is going to happen because the black cat has crossed the road. Now, you will find that he will definitely see something inauspicious. That is the meaning here. Because he has faith in it. Now the question is, why does he see something bad? Why does something inauspicious happen to him? See, it is something like this. What happens is, the moment black cat crosses the road, he has taken it as an inauspicious sign. This remains at the back of his mind, that something inauspicious is going to happen en route. Now what has happened to the mind? Mind is now tuned to everything inauspicious. What have you done? With your faith, now you are tuned to the inauspicious. Now you are just waiting to see something inauspicious which is going to happen to you. Now when you have tuned when you are tuned to a particular frequency in the radio, you will get only that station, isn't it? All stations are available, but what will you get? You get only what you are tuned to, isn't it? Shraddha is nothing but tuning. Now this person, at the back of the mind it is there. Black cat has crossed. Black cat has crossed. Something is going to happen. I don't know when it is going to happen, but something is going to happen. And in a day you will find all good things and bad things happening, isn't it? In a day itself, if you analyze, there will be good things also, there will be bad things also. But now he is tuned to what? He is tuned to bad. Naturally he will pick up all bad signals. And then what will he broadcast? Only these bad signals. And then by the time he comes back, he says, see, I told you, That black cat, I told you something bad is happened. See, this has happened. So many good things have happened, he will never register that. Because he was never tuned to it. Are you getting the point? It is not only about black cat. Now just keep in your mind, suppose you have this strong faith that a white cat means inauspicious. The same thing will happen. It really doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white. What matters is, what is your belief system? Accordingly, you will see the result. It's a law. And Bhagavan is pointing out only that law. Yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitam icchate tasya achalam shraddham tameva nidadamyam. I make that faith strong, whether good or bad. It's a law. He's just giving a law. Pujya Gurudev once, he was having his lunch in some bhiksha, some house he had gone. When he was having lunch, one child came crying. Small child. The child said, Swamiji, Swamiji. He was crying very badly. That boy, he stamped on my leg and now it's hurting. Pain is there. So he showed his leg. So it was paining. Nothing was there. It was just only pain. He was crying. It's very much paining. Gurudev said, oh, is it so? Is it paining very much? Oh, I have a medicine. What is the medicine? He just took that papadam. You see that papad? Happala. He took it and gave it to him, that boy. He said, if you eat this papad, everything will be fine. And that child, with full faith, now little children, pure mind, full faith, the child ate that papad. And then Gurudev asked, now how is your pain? Ah, it is gone. See? Very many times the doctors also do with some of the patients this way. Some patients, they come to the doctor and say, Doctor, I don't know what is happening. I am not well. And doctor does all the checkup and they find that everything is fine with this person. Some mental problem, that's all. So what does this doctor do? He says, yeah, you are really having some real problem, but I have a solution. This particular disease, we have been seeing it for the last 1 month. It is quite, widespread. And then this doctor gives some medicine. He says, after 2 days you come back and report to me. And after 2 days, the patient comes and says, now everything is fine. So actually what had that doctor given? He has given some injection, pure water. Distilled water injection he has given and some vitamin tablets. Nothing was so all the problems are mainly psychological. Now this patient has full faith in the doctor. This faith cured the disease. Right? So Bhagavan says, when this devotee worships this particular devata, what happens? He starts seeing results. Why does he see results? Because he has faith. And moreover, when he sees results, his faith becomes reinforced, becomes stronger. But is this practice good? Bhagavan says, there is one defect of worshipping these devatas. What is the defect? Verse number 23. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedhasam. Bhagavan calls them alpamedhasam. People with little intelligence. What happens to them? They get only phalam which is antavat, which is limited. So Bhagavan is indirectly criticizing, is not for this kind of worship. Now let us discuss a little about this kind of thing, because especially in Hinduism this is a big problem. Worshipping many gods. I must have told you this earlier. One Amma coming to me and saying, she says, Swamiji, in my puja room there are all gods are there. Now I don't know whom to do the arati. Shiva is there, Krishna is there, Vishnu is there, Ganesha is there. In different places I keep getting all this and I don't want to throw it. So it is there in my puja room. So when I do the Aarti, I feel bad. And sometimes I am scared also. If I do Aarti only to this God, what will the other God think of it? It's a common problem in Hinduism. They all belong to this category, Anya Devata Bhakta. Now, we have to have clear understanding about this. I might have told it earlier also, I don't remember. Anyway, there is only one God. The fact is there is only God. But for the time being, let us say there is only one God. Right? Now, there is one God, but there are so many departments. And there are so many departmental heads, which we call as Anya Devatas. So there is department, something called say eyes. So who is the Devata for eyes? You have studied Tattva Bodha, you must remember. Who is the Devata? Surya Devata, yes. Chakshusha Surya. Who is the Devata for tongue? Varuna Devata, correct. In this way, there are so many departments and there are departmental heads. So if you have any problem with the eyes, if you worship sun god, he will set it right because that is his department. Isn't it? In the same way, so many departments are there. Now remember, these gods don't have power by themselves. They have only a borrowed power. Borrowed from the Supreme Lord, which is the consciousness. Right? They don't have independent power. They have only borrowed power. Just like the ministers. All powers belong to the government. These ministers have little power in their own department. Whether it is electricity or whether it is transport, they have little power. And in that limited area, they can do whatever they want. But remember, the power belongs to Bhagavan. It is something like water tank and taps. Water, when you open the tap, water appeared to come from the tap. So you may think that the tap is giving water, but actually water belongs to where? It is a main tank, isn't it? In the same way here also. But when we don't have this bigger picture, we think these little gods, Shani, Rahu, Ketu, etc., they are giving results. And then what happens? We get attached to these little gods. And we forget the bigger picture. Now what are the defects of worshipping these little gods? Remember, nothing wrong in worshipping these gods, provided you see the bigger picture. You worship Shiva, but then understanding should be what? Shiva himself is everything. You worship Ganesha, but understanding should be Ganesha himself is everything. You can worship Shani, but understand what? The power of Shani belongs to Supreme God. When this understanding is clear, there is no problem. But when you think that this deity himself is able to bless me, then there is a problem. They by themselves, they are not independent. Now, what happens when you start worshipping these devatas? What are the defects of worshipping these independent individual devatas? Number one, the procedures are very complicated. That particular mantra alone has to be chanted. When you do the archana, there is a particular thing with which you have to do the archana. Mantra should be chanted perfectly. Everything related to that ritual has to be perfect. If you do something wrong, what do you call that? Pratyavaya dosha it is called. Some side effects will be there. It is something like taking medicine only. You have to take it the proper one. There will be dosha. But one good thing about it is, result will be immediate. I don't know whether it is good thing or bad thing. The only advantage I can say, the advantage of worshipping this little devata is results are immediate. Right? This is the only advantage, and that's why people normally tend to worship these deities. Immediately your work will be done. But then defects are, number one, rituals are complicated. Number two, results are finite. It has a beginning, it has an end. Time-wise limitation, size-wise limitation. Both ways, results are finite. Number 3, many times these results are going to do you harm than good. And this particular Devata is not bothered about it. The particular Devata is bothered only about one thing, how much of worship I am getting. Because as you keep worshipping that Devata becomes stronger and stronger. So he just wants worship from the devotee, and he immediately gives the result also, so that he will be worshipped again and again. Once a story comes in Bhagavatam. So all these, the villagers, they used to worship Indra for rain. Then one day Bhagavan said, no need of worshipping him. Are you aware of that story? And then comes the story of Govardhana lifting and all that. So the villagers stopped worshipping Indra. Indra became very angry, and then he started raining heavily. Then Bhagavan comes and lifts the Govardhana. So here the indication is, when you worship these little devatas, there are some defects. The greatest defect is you will get results, no doubt, but many times the results are not good for you. For example, suppose a child who is having cough and cold goes to the ice cream vendor, gives the money and says, give me ice cream. Ice cream vendor will immediately give. Why? For him it is business, isn't it? But suppose the child goes to the mother and say, I want ice cream. Will the mother give? No. It is something like that. This independent, they are called like Kshudra Devatas. These Anya Devatas, they are not bothered about your welfare. They will give you results. Right? And another defect is, when you start seeing results coming from this Devata, you tend to get attached to this Devata. Means you become enslaved by this Devata. Right? Then what is the best way of worship? The point is, worship me. Bhagavan is saying, don't go to these Anya Devatas, directly come to me. What are the advantages of worshipping the Supreme Lord? In this case, it will be Krishna. In Shiva Purana, it will be Shiva, but it's all one and the same. As long as you have the bigger picture, you can worship anyone, whether Krishna, Shiva or Rama, whatever. But bigger picture should be there, that there is only one God. Now when you worship the Supreme Lord, what are the advantages? Number 1, He is supreme. He is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. Unlike these little gods who have only little powers. The second thing is, God is your well-wisher, not your wish fulfiller. When you go to the Supreme Lord, He will do what is good for you. Whether you like it or not, He will do only what is good for you. Unlike that little Devata. Right? Yesterday we had seen, what is the way in which He answers our prayers? Yes, no, forgot. Wait, take, here is something better. That is the way He answers our prayers. Right? Now I will tell you something very interesting. Suppose somebody is doing black magic to you, but you are a devotee of Supreme Lord. Will you be affected? Will you be affected? No, because you are protected by a higher power. Isn't it? Nothing will happen to you. Name bhaktaha pranishyati. It is His promise. So even if somebody wants to harm you, nothing can be done. Nothing will happen to you. You will not even know that somebody is trying to harm you. You are so well protected. When you are in the lap of Bhagavan, these little devatas can never do anything to you. Your power will be so much. But the only thing is, your relationship has to be developed. So when you start worshipping that Lord, and when you see results from the higher Lord, your faith will increase, your devotion will increase, your relationship also becomes stronger and stronger. Whereas the other person who is worshipping different deities, he will not have strong relationship with anyone. Because he has to worship so many deities. Here, you have to worship only one. Nothing wrong even if you are an Artha Bhakta or an Artharthi Bhakta. Doesn't matter. Since you are worshipping only one deity, the supreme deity, the relationship starts growing higher and higher. And slowly, slowly that Bhagavan himself starts guiding you in the right direction. From Artharthi you become a Jitnyasu, and from Jitnyasu you become a Jnani. Now look at this Bhagavan. He gives himself to you. See the beauty. A little Devata will not give himself to you. He will give something of his to you. But what is the greatness of Bhagavan? He gives himself. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. See the difference. With respect to results also such a huge difference. And moreover, is it difficult to worship God? It's the easiest. Whereas worshipping a limited God, Anya Devata, is difficult. Rituals are very complicated. Whereas worshipping Bhagavan, very easy. What is the verse? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachate tadaham bhakti upahartam ashnami prayatatmanaha. There it is. So, this comes in the 9th chapter. Okay. Bhagavan says, it is so easy to worship me. Patram, a leaf. Pushpam, a flower. Phalam, a fruit. Toyam, if you don't have anything, doesn't matter. Toyam, water is enough. Yome bhaktya prayachati. The one who gives me with devotion. What I want is only devotion. Tadaham bhakti upahartam. Given with devotion. It is not important what you give. What is important is with how much love you give. Bhagavan say, Ashnami, I take it. See how easy it is. Doesn't matter even if the mantra chanted is wrong. Doesn't matter. You have nothing to offer. Doesn't matter. But do you have a heart filled with devotion? Bhagavan wants that alone. See how easy it is. But the only thing is, you may have to wait. And sometimes you may not get what you want. That freedom you have to give to Bhagavan. When to give, what to give, whether to give or not. We leave it to Bhagavan. Bhagavan will take care of everything. People who are impatient, that is why Bhagavan says, Alpamedhasam, foolish people. They want the result immediately. Without even bothering about the consequences, they go to these kinds of things. Kshudra devatas they go for immediate results, and ultimately they bind themselves down. So therefore, Devan Devayajo Yanti. What does Bhagavan say? Mad Bhakta Yanti Mam Api. The worshippers of Devatas go to Devatas. Whereas worshippers of me, they come to me. See the huge difference. Now something different. See, here we have taken Devata as various kinds of Devatas. Now Devata can have different meaning also. In the practical world, who is a Devata? People who are in power and position, they are called as Devata. So what is our natural tendency? If you want to get something done from a particular Devata, there is a way in which he has to be worshipped. Meaning what? There is something called bribe which has to be given. And there is a way to give it. There are certain people, he will not directly take it. There is a procedure. Correct? There is a ritual to be followed. And then when that Devata is pleased, your work will be done. Especially in government offices, etc., you have many such Devatas. And all of them have some limited powers. But your work will be done. So now remember, this applies here also. If you have something to get done, don't approach these little Devatas. Go to the main Devata and get your work done. At least test it. If you have something to get done, don't take the path of unrighteous ways, bribing someone, etc. Don't do that. Say, Bhagavan, I want this to be done. You take care. Now remember, that power which that little Devata has is his power. In fact, the very life itself belongs to him. depend on Him. For everything, depend on Him. And you will find how easily the work gets done. Higher the contact, easier the work will get done. Isn't it? Now you have the highest contact with you. The very consciousness in you is God. Why not use your highest contact? By little contacts. This is one meaning, right? Now Devata can also mean another thing. Sense organs are also called Devata. Sense organs. So pleasing the sense organ means what? To please the, what you call, tongue. Tongue is a Devata. Why is it a Devata? Because it illumines. Devata comes from the term Dev, to illumine. It gives you knowledge. Devata is that which gives you knowledge. Now, tongue gives you knowledge about the taste. So therefore it's a Devata. So how will you please that Devata? By putting something very tasty into the mouth. So then that Devata is pleased. Right? That particular offering also alone has to be given. Color will not please the tongue. Form will not please the tongue. What will please the tongue? Only the something tasty, isn't it? So that particular thing has to be given. Then only that particular Devata will be happy. And now see, the result is immediate or not. The moment you take something tasty, you are happy, isn't it? You get immediate result. Now what is the disadvantage? You get addicted to that sense organ, isn't it? So see, antavattu phalam tesham. The phalam is antavat. It has a limitation. What is the limitation? That joy which you get is finite. Meaning sense pleasures are finite. It will only make you addict to itself. And when you are addicted, you are more miserable. So don't go to these Devatas. So in this case, sense organs are called Devatas. All these chain smokers, drug addicts, they all have fallen prey to this particular Devata called sense pleasure. Your life is ruined when you are addicted to sense pleasures. This is another meaning. So from Adi Devika level, Adi Bhautika level, Adhyatmika level, you can find that this verse makes sense. More of it we will see tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.